Hey everyone, Ben Coomer Radio, episode number 97. I have Rachel on the line. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Benny. How are you?
Amazing. We were just saying that I've been so busy. You know when you're so busy you don't really have anything to tell anyone? I'm like, I don't really know where to start. It's all kind of like just a big blur. And yeah, I'm good. I'm busy. I'm just like, whatever. Yeah, cool.
Well, I've been so busy since I've got back from holidays that I've got my list. I use Evernote to create my lists and my to-dos and everything. And I've got so many things on there. You know, when you come back from holidays and then you go back to work that first day and you're in like clinical depression. So I kind of got over my jet lag now. I'm over my clinical depression, which lasted all of a day and a half. And I'm now back into reality and back into society. But I have to say, I will confess, I procrastinate when I'm like this, where I've got so much to do. And
I think everyone does. It's paralysis by the mountain. I suppose we can relate it to fat loss when people, you know, have like got a ton to lose and they just stare at the magnitude of the problem and go, screw it, I just won't start. Which is, you know, a problem we encounter all the time with clients. Like they start and then they stop because it's like, oh, it's too much. I've got too much to do. But I suppose in this situation, like you, I get it when I come back from holiday. You just got to start with one thing, you know. And that's why now on my to-do list, I've got numbers. So I'm like, well, right, that's number one. That's number two. And if I do number one, I've got somewhere.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've worked today. But I put on my Facebook status today that I hate it when my efficiency is compromised. Like I pride myself on being pretty damn efficient most of the time. And I had my day planned out today, and most of my days are planned by like the 15-minute slots. So, you know, it's 15 minutes drive somewhere, you know, 2 slots is like 30 minutes, etc., etc. Anyway, I got to the optician today because I bought a new pair of specs when I was overseas and I needed some new frames. Anyway, I ended up having my eyes tested. I waited an hour for my appointment, like one whole hour, 60 minutes, i.e. 4 slots, like 4 15-minute slots of mine. I waited. And I was so annoyed in that time. I couldn't actually do anything. And then my phone battery died and I was, oh God, it was just so stressful. Anyway, total first world problems. But yeah, I hate it when my efficiency is compromised. So that really threw my day as well. So yeah, I'm just throwing that into the excuse box, which is, yeah. And then I had to go get my phone fixed in the Apple store. And you know what they're like in the Apple store. And then they're kind of chatty and then it's like a long wait. And anyway, long story short, I'm here and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, we're both here. That's good. I know how you feel. We've got a burst water main at our house today, so we've got no water. So it's 7 a.m. now. After this podcast, I'm going to have to go out and find bottles of water, see if we can just drink, you know, maybe wash my face. So I know what you mean. I hate it when my efficiency is compromised. But the good thing is...
Do you find though, like that, you know, that's an essential thing that you have to do, right? You have to go out and you have to get water to drink. I had to go and get my phone fixed today, but I feel guilty for doing that. Like it was an essential part of how I work. Obviously I need a phone. Obviously you need water, but when I'm not working, I also feel guilty. So it's such a horrible feeling of that compromised efficiency. It's a double whammy. Like it's annoying because efficiency is being compromised, but it's also you get that guilt feeling of I should be doing something else.
Yeah, I think that's the pressure we just put on ourselves though. I think I only get it because now other people rely on my time. So like I have to do things so that people that are in my team can then do things. So if I haven't done it, they're sat there going, you know all that stuff you asked me to do? Yeah, I can't do it till you do that. So I'm kind of like, oh, God damn it, you know, X, Y, Z's got in the way and I haven't been able to do things. I think that's why I get up so early, is so that I can do all these things to make sure my team can function and do the things that we need to do, you know, as a company or, you know, or whatever. Anyway, I didn't think we were going to have much to rabble on about at the beginning of this podcast.
But as usual, we find something.
Yeah, usual we bullshit about something. We'll dive straight into this podcast. I've only got one announcement, really. We've just launched our academy, the foundation program, and it's gone really well. But as people have been asking, yes, the normal academy does still start as normal on the 1st of October, so our full 12-month program. And we've changed it a lot. The format has changed a lot. People don't no longer get coaching at the beginning. We've extended the program. We've put more teaching in. We've put more case studies in. I've brought 2 new coaches in to deliver different parts of the program, some more expertise. So, if you're doing that, please go and check the program online at bodytypenutrition.co.uk, because it's changed. I've recorded a new video talking about the program and how it's delivered and what you can expect and stuff. And then we are doing, I don't know if I mentioned this, we are doing our first ever Body Type Nutrition conference this year. It will be a full day of learning on a Sunday. There'll be 8 different talks from 8 different coaches. So there'll be a lot of information, and we're also going to give awards out for our clients of the year on stage, and they're going to get a big prize and stuff. So I think it's going to be a great event. It's not going to be expensive either. We want, to fill a room with a lot of people that want to learn. So I'm really excited about that. That's on the 8th and the 9th of November. So pencil that into the diary now. And by the time this podcast will go up, the week after, we'll be releasing details on social media of the plan of action.
That's so exciting. Well, I'm going to come to your conference next year, because I can't make it back to the UK until December this year. So next year I will be at your conference.
And you'll be headline guest, Rachel. Headline.
Oh, thanks, Benny. Maybe we can share a stage together. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
It could be a bit of a comedy act, but there we go.
Yeah, that's only because we think ourselves are funny. No one else does.
I know, I'm sure
everyone else is sitting there shaking their heads going, just shut up, guys.
Just shut up and just tell us about nutrition and training, will you? You're just not funny. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Let's do this.
Okay, let's go.
I'm ready to punch.
Okay. The first question is from a lady called Rachel. Great name, by the way. I had to say that. Everyone says that when they hear someone with their own name. Anyway, hi Ben and Rachel. Thank you for having your photo taken with me at the Body Power Show. Quick question. I'm female, 43 years old, and my question is about body fat percentage. I'm currently at 27%. My trainers tell me this is not high for a female. However, I feel it is. What is your opinion, and what was an ideal percentage for muscle definition and to be able to see your abs? Many thanks, Rachel from Bedfordshire.
Well, really, I should refer more to you on this question, because it's a female and you kind of think about your body composition. But, I mean, in short, for me, people need to be the body fat that they want to be. Like, our environment will always tell us that, and this is a classic, you're too slim. You're slim enough already, because a lot of people around you will already be quite big. So the norm of what is slim is skewed now, because there's so many people that are that much bigger. So, I mean, for me, for a woman to start seeing their abs, I mean, what do you think? Around 14, 15%? Depending on the person?
Yeah, it depends on the person. I mean, it also depends on, how we're measuring body fat percentage as well. I think if we're just going by, what do you usually go by, DEXA? If we're looking at general body fat percentage, give me an example so we can put this into context. Because, of course, if we're using something like biosignature, you'll kind of come in leaner than perhaps what you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on who's measuring you, depending on, who's taught you, and then, there are so many confounding variables. So, let's talk about what you use, for example, as a body fat measurement.
Me personally?
How do you measure your clients?
I just use calipers and visual, because it's just easy and low cost. Like, I'm not sending people around the country to find a DEXA scanner.
Yeah, well, we're lucky enough here in Sydney. Like, we've pretty much got one on the doorstep. There's a couple of DEXAs in Sydney. However, generally speaking, I actually do biosig, and I use it mainly to make sure that somebody's skin fold sites are coming down. So, that's where we do the pinch testing. However, again, photos and visual, that's how I measure body fat. It's that simple. Now, when we're talking about looking at somebody's abs and how lean should somebody be, yes, I agree with you, Ben. I reckon below 14% for a woman, and that's based off, a lot of women carry a lot more fat in their legs and their butts. So, if we're looking at measuring somebody via skin folds and body fat and biosig in particular, they may come in leaner than that. So, I know, and it also depends on how much do you want to see your abs. That there are some girls who say, oh, I can see my abs when they've just got two lines down the middle. And then you have somebody like me who says, I can't see my abs unless they're shredded. So really, like, there is a difference. But, it's not down to body fat percentage. Don't go by that. You've got to go by how you look in the mirror and what you're looking like in pictures. So that's where the realistic thing comes. And if you want a general guideline, we're looking at about 14%, where you can start to see, start to see the lines down there. And if you really pull your skin tight, you can maybe see your top abs at 14%. But again, it depends on the person.
I think either way, I would be honest in that if you're working with a trainer and you're trying to get kind of lean, and by the sounds of it, it sounds like you want quite an athletic looking physique. You want some muscle definition, etc. 20%, 27% is too high. Like, you've got at least another 10% body fat to lose before you start to actually see your kind of muscle definition in my eyes. So, I'd hope that your personal trainer isn't sugarcoating your results by saying, oh yeah, you're doing fine, you're getting nice and lean, 27% is fine, because your results, you're not getting anywhere with that trainer and he's almost trying to sugarcoat it. Hopefully that's not the case. But for me, you need to be hitting around 15% before you reach your perceived goal of where you're going with your body composition.
I think women, I like to see my girls under 20% body fat. If they particularly want that bikini body look, you've really got to be certainly between the 14 to 20% body fat to have a tight bikini body look. If you want to be really tight, then you need to be below 14%. But for a good, sexy, curvy bikini body, we're looking at 14 to 20% body fat.
Agree. While we're on the topic of abs, do you think we should skip to question 4? Because this is an ab-related question as well. We'll skip to it and we'll keep it consistent.
Yes, whilst we're on the topic of abs, this question is from Rich. Hi Ben, in an old episode you mentioned that you were quite thick around the waist because you did lots of core training when you were younger. Is there anything that you can do or not do to avoid getting thick around the waist? I want to keep my waist smaller so that there's more of a taper down from the shoulders, the V shape. This is obviously and purely an aesthetic goal, so still I want a six-pack. Any ab exercises that you recommend that would work the abs without creating the thickness? Cheers.
Well, the abs are just like any muscle. So if you inject a lot of volume into your training around a particular muscle group, then you're gonna get hypertrophy in those muscles. So when I first sort of got more into fitness and stuff, I sort of trained to become a trainer through the Czech Institute, and the Czech Institute are huge on core training. They love bouncing around on Swiss balls and twisting and all that kind of stuff. And obviously as a young and impressionable coach, I bought into that a lot. And it's not to say that the Czech Institute's teachings are not valid. I kind of thought that was the one and only way, which is obviously a bad way to go about things. And so, when I was losing weight, my path to sorting out going from obese to slim was that I would do half an hour of core training every day, an hour of weight training, and then half an hour of cardio. So train for 2 hours a day, which was quite a lot, but that was my knowledge at the time, and that was how I did things. Now, doing half an hour of core training a day, that's a lot of volume through my abs across a weekly basis. I don't really know anyone that does that much ab training. So if I get lean, well, no, I only have to be at about 11 to 12% body fat, maybe slightly higher, for you to see my abs like okay. You can start to see the tops and the obliques, and it's tend to where I sit most of the year, because that's fine for me. I'm happy with that body fat percentage. So if you want, you don't want thick abs, but to get thick abs, if you stimulate the obliques a lot, you're going to get that thick taper, the thickness around the waist, because the obliques is what will add definition kind of sideways to the core. So just avoid that kind of stuff. So make sure you're doing a lot of kind of rectus abdominal training, so heavy weighted crunches. If you don't want too much thickness, I would probably focus your core training a bit more on kind of like static hold based stuff. So like planks, barbell rollouts, and just keep the volume minimal. Like maybe do 2 different exercises twice a week in your training program, and that's enough to kind of stimulate, muscular activity, a little bit of development. And then, of course, if you're lean enough, then you'll see it. If you get lean and you go, my six pack isn't how I want it to look, then you can actually target it as a kind of hypertrophy based muscle. Go, actually, I want my rectus abdominals to be thicker. I want my obliques to pop out a little bit more. So, yeah.
Cool. As a girl, I've totally detrained mine. Mine were too thick. Again, like with you, this is where we actually met many, many years ago, back when we were doing our check stuff.
Yeah.
But I had very thick abs. And when I say thick, I say very thick abs. They weren't very thick. But I had, a decent six pack. And it's kind of not what I want. Like I just, as a bikini girl, I just want a small and a tight tummy. I didn't want the abs anymore, so I actually detrained mine. So I haven't done it. I can't remember the last time I've done an ab crunch. I do planks and I do rollouts and I do like the isometric stuff, but I don't do. I can't remember the last time I did a crunch. I don't think I could actually do 10 sit-ups.
One of the best core exercises I love doing, and this would be a great recommendation for this guy, is doing a heavy one-handed farmer's walk.
Ooh, nasty. You'd be so sore the next day.
But you're just so good. Lumbar erectors, all through the abdominals, bracing the shoulder girdle. Brilliant exercise.
The other thing that makes my abs really sore, I have to say, is chin-ups. Every time, chin-ups just kill.
Probably because you're probably doing a Kipling push-up. You're waving your legs around.
A what?
Kipling pull-up in CrossFit. Them pull-ups where you cheat.
Don't start me on kicking chin-ups. Well, first of all, like I'm so hypermobile, my shoulders would dislocate immediately. But I'm too ego-based to do that. Like I couldn't do a chin-up that isn't strict form. Seriously. And there's nothing against CrossFit. Fair play to you guys. You're really fit and all that. But
oh yeah.
I don't like kipping. As a physio, like I look at kipping and I cringe.
Yeah, I like a lot of CrossFit principles, but I look at the Kipling and it just seems a little bit crazy to me. And there's obviously a purpose behind it, getting high reps out, pushing the fitness thing. I get that, but I just when someone goes, "Oh yeah, I could do a Kipling pull-up," and I'm like, "Okay, can you do a real pull-up?"
I think they're called kipping. I think they're called kipping chins.
Oh, are they? I thought it was
not Kipling.
Perhaps I'm thinking of the manufacturer of cake. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I've obviously got Mr. Kipling, and I've obviously got cake on the mind.
Hey, is he the one who did? Oh, he's the one who does those cherry Bakewell tarts.
Oh
yes. My God, they are so good.
They're good. Oh yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
I ate a lot of cake yesterday, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a consultation with a lovely lady in London who writes a cookbook. This is a good shout. People pay attention. She's written a book called Truly Madly. I can't. Anyway, I'll get someone to fetch a book while I'm recording the podcast, and I'll give it a shout. But I think it's Truly Madly Tastely, Truly Madly something. Anyway, okay. I had a consultation with her, and she brought me like this massive hamper of like sort of protein, nice based, kind of like all fruit, nut, protein powder, based snacks. I had like banana loaf, treacle, something loaf, like some protein balls, some homemade rye bread. It was amazing.
Nice. Well, find out what that book is before the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I will. I'll try. I'm on Amazon now. Anyway, yeah, let's move on.
Okay, awesome. So this question is from, I don't know because there's no answer on it. Okay, hi Ben. Thank you so much for answering my question in the latest podcast. But I still have one more question. So you won't recommend 4 grams of leucine between meals if I get around 4 grams of leucine in my meals. I'm eating approximately every 4.5 hours. I bought your leucine caps from Genetics, and I'm living in Sweden, by the way. Financial isn't any problem. I just want to do what the best thing is for my body recomposition. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm looking forward to 16 hours of learning materials.
So, I mean, firstly, they're not my leucine capsules. Like, genetics isn't my company. I just happen to recommend some of their stuff. Well, all of their stuff really. Yeah, the leucine thing, I think we've talked about it a lot, so we'll definitely bury this conversation after this question. Like, the whole leucine thing is, looking at nutrition from a maximal point of view. So if we're trying to maximize certain processes in the body, we're looking at this leucine situation and saying, well, okay, if I eat the ideal amount of chicken at a meal, for example, and that contains the ideal amount of leucine for my body weight, so let's say it's 4 to 4.5 grams of leucine in that meal of chicken, then the chances are you would have maximally stimulated muscle protein synthesis, and that if you eat another around 4 hours later, you're going to keep getting what we think at the moment is the ideal stimulation of leucine in the bloodstream, which maximally stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Now, the reason why I talked about leucine in the past, this is the key reason, is looking at kind of the changes that we have in diet and being flexible and stuff. So if I had, let's say, chicken for breakfast, and then at lunch I had like a bit of a big salad with just like a load of seeds in it. Let's say I was out for lunch and had a big salad with loads of seeds in it. I knew I wasn't going to get enough protein or of the right type. Then I would maybe take some leucine with me, and I'd have the leucine about an hour and a half after the meal, and that way I'm going to make up for the shortfall in the meal. Now, if I ate that chicken at 8 in the morning, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, then I probably wouldn't look at supplementing with leucine, because I've been really geeky with my diet and I've covered all the bases. But any time you've got an inferior protein source, not got enough protein, and you're looking at maximally stimulating muscle protein synthesis because you are trying to drive towards a kind of hypertrophy based goal, you're really pushing your body composition, then it makes sense to supplement in this way, especially if financials aren't an issue.
Cool. We've done leucine a lot on this show, haven't we?
We have. We'll probably bury it now. I don't really see a need to sort of carry on. That's kind of my perspective.
Cool. Awesome. Next question.
Awesome.
This question is from Luke. Hi, Ben and Rachel.
Hold on.
My question...
No, stop!
Okay.
Stop.
Okay. Have you got the book?
I've got the book. Do you know what I did? I engaged Brain and looked on my bookshelf.
It is early in the morning for you. I know it's early in the morning for you.
Right, everyone listening, get out a pen. This girl's book, her name is Gemma Govia, probably butchered that. The book name is Truly Madly Healthy. 100 fast fat loss recipes. They're not really targeted at fat loss, but marketing and all that. But there's so many nice recipes in here, like slow cooked venison stew, cinnamon and apple porridge, berry oat pancakes, beef chili and sweet potato wedges, shredded chicken salad, crispy honey glazed sea bass. It's all just really nice, simple stuff. Like, she's got a really simple fish cake recipe, super salmon and chive burgers, chicken pesto parcels. It's really nice. Like 100 different recipes in there. I don't know how much it costs on Amazon. I could probably look right now on the Amazon machine.
The thing I love about books like that, and this is what we have to get across to people. I talk about this all the time. I just recorded a podcast with a lady in the US. Actually, I think you spoke to her last week or the week before, Carol.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was chatting to Carol, and I just said, you've got to make food interesting. You've got to make training fun, because this is a lifestyle. And people think of healthy food as boring. They think of it as boiled chicken and broccoli. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can eat delicious, nutritious food by using recipes like that. And then there are lots of books out there now, and that could be. That's just one of many, which are amazing books. I'll give a shout out to one of the ladies that I work with. Her name's Jeanette Bessinger, and she runs the Clean Food Coach. I think, and she's got a site, cleanfoodcentral.com. Again, thousands of recipes on there made of like good, nourishing, healthy, and nutritious food right from the beginning, and it's designed for families. So, you know, and they're fast recipes. So I'm all for books like that. I think that's a great idea.
You can't buy it off Amazon. I've just checked. You can buy it at trulymadlyhealthy.co.uk. And I've just logged onto her homepage, and there's actually a picture of me on it. I met her yesterday, and she's already updated her website and said that shameless selfie of me and Ben. That's quite nice. Had no idea. Thanks, Gemma.
There you go.
Cool. Right, so there's another cool cookbook for you kids.
Awesome. Okay, right. Well, I'll have to pick one up when I'm in the UK then in December. Anyway. Okay, this is from Luke, and this is about DNA testing. So, hi Ben and Rachel. My question is regarding the trendy subject of DNA testing for athletic ability, general fitness, and personal dietary recommendations. Particularly the latter, as a few companies have popped up recently, claiming they are able to tailor nutrition on an individual basis, based on a saliva swab of DNA. Based on what I know about the accuracy of DNA testing for athletic ability, I'm personally a non-believer that this is possible to do with an individual's nutrition, given current research and technology available, and many eminent studies from Professor Stuart Phillips and David Hughes, who would agree. I would love to hear on your take on whether this is possible to prescribe personal dietary plans from genotyping a client's DNA. I'm a regular listener of the show, and it would make my week if you could answer a question on the podcast. I think you guys are doing the world of nutrition a huge credit. Keep up the great work, Luke.
Have you had one of these tests done, Rachel?
I've had several of these tests done because I like to be a guinea pig on these things.
And what have your tests shown you? Because I've got my test, so I'm gonna talk about my test that I've had done. But I just wanted to hear your view first.
Well, first of all, God, we're going back years now. Like I've had them done by I think 2 or 3, maybe 3 different companies, and they've all come back with slightly different things. So they've all said, they all said, 2 of them said that I was an under-methylator. One of them said that I was an over-methylator. I then go and see a functional medicine doctor here in Sydney, and then I get told that I'm an under-methylator, and no, then she tests me and I'm over again. So, that was just one part of it. They in terms of nutrition, all they gave me in terms of nutritional advice was eat a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, see,
that was it.
I mean, I think I went when there's a particular company I'm thinking of. There's 2 that stick in my mind in the UK.
Yeah.
And when this initial company sort of cropped up, I said, right, I'm gonna go along and check it out. And I took another one of my coaches to kind of get a second perspective on it. And I listened to all the information, and I was like, some of this stuff sounds quite cool. I can see its application and why. So I got a test done, had the test. And obviously, the company that are teaching us about it want to get kind of trainers on board to recommend it to their clients and stuff, which makes sense because if it's a good product, then why wouldn't we? It's just like any kind of referral in the fitness industry. If the product's worthy, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be recommending it. Whether you get money as a result of that or not, really, it doesn't really matter. But the thing that I find with genetic testing is, the company that I'm now thinking of are now starting to slot themselves into kind of the diet market. And that's where, for me, a company loses their credibility very quickly, because I don't see genetic testing as a diet solution. There's all these people running around still looking for the solution. And a company comes along and goes, yeah, let's test your genetics, and then we'll tell you that you need to do cardio instead of weight training, and we'll tell you that you need to eat chicken instead of beef and stuff. And I just don't quite like the psychology behind it, because for me it's still a diet application. They'll get sent something, they'll follow it, and for me, if they never get coached into their habit or their lifestyle change, then it becomes a bit of a problem. Now, don't get me wrong, every diet has its successes and failures. Some people pick up the Atkins diet book, they follow it, and that was enough of a stimulus to make them change long term and explore their health and actually maybe not follow Atkins long term, but it was enough of a stimulus to open up the doors to change for them. And I don't see this as quite doing that. Now, there's multiple ways of looking at this, and I know I'm only looking at one side of it, but also, what happens if our results are different to our goals? So if I was someone that's never trained before, and the reason why I say this is it's kind of the information that this test tell you. If I was someone that never trained before, and I came to you, Rachel, and I said, Rachel, I really want to look like a bit of a men's health model. I want to look good with my top off. I want to feel good. And you say, well, you've got a couple of stone to lose, and I want to get you in the gym, and I'm going to teach you how to move and weight training stuff. But we're going to do this test just to make sure we're doing everything right. We're going to test your genetics. Now, let's put it into perspective. I've got my test, and my results say that essentially, if I want the most out of my training, I need to train for endurance. So I need to train at a low to moderate intensity with a lot of cardio-based training. I have a moderate ability to recover, so I need to pay attention to my recovery, but I can put in a bit of volume here and there and recover okay, but I need to be aware of it. And then I also have a moderate risk to injury, so I've got some inflammatory markers that are potentially already high, all that kind of stuff. Now, that goes against quite a lot of my kind of core goals that you might want to do as me as a coach. You want to get me in the gym, you want to get me lifting weights, you don't really want me getting too much cardio, a bit's fine. So automatically, what do you then do as a coach? Do you pay attention to the genetics, or do you pay attention to the information that you've been using for a long time to create the bodies that people want from you? There was an awful lot, there was mostly information in there that kind of confirmed a bit of what I already know. And a lot of the other stuff, I'm like, well, I've out-trained that. So it says, like, for example, that my power potential is quite low. I'm naturally I wouldn't say I'm naturally a very strong and powerful individual as a whole. But I've tried to enhance that. So I've never really seen it as a weak. I've never seen it as I'm not going to work against that weakness to try and make it a strength. I'm just going to avoid it and stay in the kind of channel of strength, which is kind of cardio and endurance, because I want to be X, Y, and Z. So I've trained to be X, Y, and Z. I might not have developed as quickly as an individual that can get X, Y, and Z very quickly because that matches their genetics, but I'm still going to go down that path. So I personally don't think it changes a huge amount of how we do things as coaches. I still think we're going to work with a client, see what works a little bit. It might give you a little bit of head start. You might say, oh, okay, I'm going to give you 14 to 18 reps in your exercises rather than 6 to 10 because your muscles are a bit more endurance based. So I think we'll try and target your type 2 muscle fibers a bit better. Sorry, your type 1 muscle fibers a bit better, because you might get a little bit more development a bit quicker because the magnitude of your slow twitch muscle fibers is greater.
So that I think you get to a stage as well, like you get sold into things, and I know from my genetic testing and everything, I know what works for my body, and regardless of what a piece of paper says, like I know what works and what doesn't. So and yes, some of, like you, Ben, some of what was written confirmed, but then there were things in there as well that I was just like, I know that I don't do well on a high, a certain amount of carbohydrates. I know I don't do well on that, yet my genetics say differently. So according to this one particular test. So, I think it's one of those things. I think it still needs to be refined. Look, if we are going to use it, it needs to be refined. It needs to be more heavily tested. I think there needs to be, I don't think this, in fact, funnily enough, I was having this exact conversation with a very experienced chiropractor yesterday who's in Sydney, who's just started recommending gene testing. And I said to him, the thing is that who's interpreting these results? And it's all very well having the results, but then who can interpret them and actually make sense of them? Because I don't think there are many people out there who are truly understanding it. A lot of people claim to be, particularly personal trainers who've been and done various different day-long courses that they can interpret genetic testing. Who is really out there, like these guys who study epigenetics, who can really determine this stuff?
Yeah. See, I can see how this test could refine our kind of training to a degree with people that really want to fine tune things, like a bit more kind of athletic potential, like which potential heart rate should we be training in, that kind of stuff. But for me, the coaching process is still golden in people's change. Like, coaches still need to change people, bring them round to the right ideas, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to find a post on Facebook as I talk, because the owner of one of these DNA companies, I believe he's the owner or part owner, one of my students on the academy made a post in our kind of private pages asking about our thoughts on what this individual has recommended as part of their kind of general website free information. So he sort of said, if you want to lose fat, then follow these recommendations and you'll be pretty close. You'll get there. And he listed a load of stuff. One of these things was you should eat most of your carbohydrates at breakfast, and which I thought, well, straight away we need to be looking at what works for ourselves. Like, if I ate carbs at breakfast, I'd be shit all morning. Like, I know that.
It's a blanket statement, isn't it? It's a black and white statement, and it's very blanket.
But the biggest problem for me, his last comment was, if you want to lose fat, take a good fat burner. And at
for God's sake, come on!
And at that point,
for fuck's sake, come on!
I just lost all respect for that individual. Like, that individual's got a good name in the industry and stuff. And I've never met him, so I can't comment properly. But I just thought, I don't know, that kind of disappointed me a lot. I thought we shouldn't be doing that as coaches. You're selling a genetic test, and then you're saying to people, right, let's guarantee your fat loss. Let's basically guarantee the effectiveness of what I'm trying to sell on the internet via a cookie cutter black and white program, and say, yeah, to lose fat you need to take a fat burner. No, to lose fat you need to sort out your diet and sort out your training. Simple as that. Like, fat burners for me are to use when you are coaching someone to get down to very, very small amounts of body fat. Like, I'll use a fat burner in the last 3 to 5 weeks, sometimes with a competitor that I'm going on stage, and we are struggling to get very lean. But apart from that, for me, there's no place for it, really. I just don't see the need.
There's no need for fat burners. And I really think, you want a good kick before training, have some caffeine, have some TDT spray, get a double espresso down you. You want fat burners, like caffeine's a great fat burner. But, stick some carnitine and some other, like,
I'd rather
things are going to help you focus, but don't even start me. Like, look, I get in all this fluster when you talk about fucking fat burners. Like, seriously, get off that shit.
I would have had a lot more respect if it'd just gone, have 2 to 3 cups of green tea a day. Cool.
Great.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Good on you.
Great addition to most people's diets. But fat burners... Anyway, so that's my opinion on genetic testing.
Let's just hope that he meant have 2 to 3 cups of green tea a day.
Yeah. So I think there's a place, but I just don't like where these companies are slotting their information into the industry and the consumer. I think it needs to be quite specifically applied, but I suppose that's business. People are looking to obviously make their businesses credible, and they want to take it a bit more mass market and stuff, but I don't know. That's just my opinion as a practitioner and as a business owner. I like my, I've talked plenty about what I created with TDT, transdermal technology. I don't sit here and say it's for everyone. It's not for everyone. It's ridiculous. That would be a ridiculous statement. I think they're good for people that train a lot, want to get the most out of their training, want to recover maximally, have some potential RSI issues or muscle issues. And then, the performance spray side of things, like if people, a lot of people are over caffeinated, if they want to look at controlling their adrenal stress, bringing their caffeine down, using something that works very short term, but still gives you a performance boost. I'm a practitioner saying that my products have a specific use. And if you fit into those, then I'm going to recommend them based on that. But, I'm not going to stand up and write a blog post or something and say that everyone should take what I'm selling and guarantee my kind of my results or something. But I don't know. That's just me as a practitioner and what I stand for, my values, I suppose.
Can I just say, as a side note, on the last podcast, obviously I talked about my IBS and how I've dealt with things and everything, and it was very interesting to see how many practitioners came out of the woodwork and offered me solutions based on nutritional cleanses that they sell. I will name a few names: Herbalife, Isogenics,
fuck you, Herbalife.
Juice Plus. Some other aloe vera things that were just wonderful at repairing the gut. And I'm like, guys, are you serious? You obviously haven't heard me talk before, because I am anti Isogenics, Herbalife. You go through my YouTube channel, I talk about this all the time.
Fuck you, Herbalife.
Yeah, the Isogenics was actually the worst. I probably had about 4 people from Isogenics approach me and say, look, we've got this wonderful 20 or 30-day nutritional cleanse. It cures IBS and
AIDS
all these other things.
and everything.
Come on, please. Seriously. So anyway, that's just on a little side note. So there we go. They all come out of the woodwork. But yeah, let's wrap up this DNA question. Look, personally, I think it's one of those things that perhaps needs a little bit more refining. I think we need a few more experts to come out in the industry who've done a lot of research into this, and perhaps with a couple of companies who are really forthcoming with it. I would give it another go, but I would like to work with a practitioner who is an epigeneticist. Like, I really want to get into the depths of exactly what's going on, rather than just be handed a report to say, here you go, here's what's going on.
Joe, I'll tell you what's quite funny. We're now looking at ambassadors and sort of people that we want to align ourselves with transdermal technology, like people that love the product and want to use it. And we have a strict company policy that we won't pay. We won't pay for an athlete to say, I like your product, because for me, I haven't achieved anything. I've just paid for someone to say that they like my product, and for me, that's ridiculous. People can't trust me after that point. So one of these companies that does the DNA testing has ambassadors for their program. So like these people standing up saying, X company are really good and I enjoy their use. And I know for a fact that some of these practitioners will not use these tests. Just because I know what work they do in the industry, they will not use these tests, the way that they coach people and stuff. So, if you're going to do these things as a company, get your endorsements from people that actually really care, that don't just have like a social media following or are just going to, pepper your bank balance. Because a lot of people have lost faith in the fitness industry over the years. There's a huge amount of bullshit. And one reason I get compliments on the podcast is that I'm trying not to do anything in a bullshit way. We're trying to wade ourselves through it. And I don't know all the answers. I don't have them all. But we're trying to maintain some credibility by, deciphering all this stuff. And as a company, bringing people on board that honestly are obviously just promoting your product for money. For me, you lose credibility with me straight away. And I'd like to think that other people are looking at that and thinking the same thing, but I don't know, when you target a business to the consumer, there's a lot of consumers that aren't knowledgeable enough to pick that up, so that's business, who knows.
That is business. Anyway, are we moving on?
Yes,
next question.
Let's move on, darling.
Okay, next question is from, this is over 2 pages. It's the last question. This is from Sylvia from Poland. Hi, Ben. I discovered your podcast 5 weeks ago and I've changed my diet under your influence. I had some symptoms of thyroid hyperfunction, feeling extremely cold, hair loss and mild depression, but tests didn't show anything. I exercise mostly lifting, but some intervals too, but my diet was somewhat across the board and my results were very poor. Now I eliminated gluten and lactose and I've started eating loads of vegetables, good fats and meats, and I thank you. I feel really good and I don't feel that I'm sad anymore. My digestion and metabolism are better and have never been better and so flawless, and my skin imperfections have vanished, just to let you know. I'm actually quite astonished that it works because I've tried so many fad diets and just got more and more disappointed. Just on a side note here, God, this is so common, and I love hearing these things that, you know what? I will finish this question very soon, but guess what? Like, this is balanced nutrition, and it's not sexy, and it's really hard to sell sometimes, but guess what? This works. Anyway, also, I have a question for you and your beautiful colleague. Who's that?
I think she's talking about me, actually.
Yeah, she must be talking about the fox that's sometimes on the show. Anyway, in one of your earlier episodes, you mentioned about making people horny with diet. Did we talk about that?
Getting a boner.
Else?
Yeah.
Huh?
I think we talked about getting a boner before, yeah.
Did we?
Getting it on. Yeah, carry on.
Actually, funnily enough, I was going to say we should do a sex episode one day.
Yeah,
and talk about
although I'm not
everything related.
I'm not really an expert, Rachel, so might need to bring on a guest.
No. Whoa. Hold your horses tight, yeah, right? In terms of nutrition, we're gonna touch on it now.
Okay.
But we should do a whole episode based on nutrition and sex. Anyway, I digress. I'm a 40-year-old woman and my sex life is fine. However, I'd like to keep it that way. I would like to know where to begin in my learning about staying young in terms of my hormones. You have already helped me a lot. I hope you can address this one more issue that I'm concerned with. Big thanks, Sylvia from Poland.
I think she was asking more you.
About hormones and sex.
Yeah, I think she was asking more about you. I think you're already doing, obviously, the right thing with diet. I think the biggest thing to look at when you come into age is how you balance all your stressors, because I think stressors is going to be the big thing that plays into your whole kind of life and your longevity and your potential for disease. And when I say stressors, you need to look at everything. Stress is a diet, fluid intake is a diet, fluid intake is a stress, sleep lack of can be a stress, toxins within the environment and chemicals and stuff. So as we get older, sometimes we get more and more time pressures. We get more and more financial pressures. You get pressures from your family. You might have a more high-profile job, and that puts pressure on you. So I think as you get older, you need to refine these skills rather than just putting more and more in the tank. Because I think as you get older, it's easier to just take more work on, take more family responsibility on, take more stress on, lose a half an hour to an hour of sleep every night because you've got an extra duty to do. So I think for me, stress is a huge one, because I know that cortisol, if your cortisol gets too high for too long, it will dysregulate all your other hormones.
I totally agree, and I think on that note, as a 40-year-old woman, and obviously I deal with a lot of women this age, like, it's important to start loving yourself. And so many women that age, they start to think, oh God, I'm getting old, and and it's you've still got to love yourself, and it's so true. What you just said, Ben, about the whole stress thing, because women of that age, they do tend to put everybody else first beyond themselves, but it is important to take time for yourself. And we're not just talking about hormones here, it's about feeling good in your own skin. So if that means, how am I going to say this now without being really crude? There's a certain level of manicuring, should we say, from top to tail that a woman should do all of the time. Because, okay, I'm going to totally digress here, but yeah, like, there are certain things that women should do all of the time to make yourself feel good. And whether that's for you having your hair done, wearing makeup, doing some fake tan, making sure that you get waxed all of the time. Ben, stop
getting a Brazilian
on a screen.
I got a Brazilian.
I knew you were going to smirk, right? Okay, so this is like,
I'm such a man.
This whole self-care thing is really important. Like, come on, girls, you've got to be ready all of the time, and it's part of it that is feeling good about yourself all of the time. And we're not just talking about nutrition here to feel good in your own skin because you've got a good body, but looking after yourself, making sure that you you do your hair, and you know, sometimes you do wear makeup, and you dress in a way that you feel good. And these things are really important to keep your sex life alive at any given age. And these things are really important to, you know, to keep, you know, I say to keep your sex life alive, but to be able to keep your hormonal profile together, essentially, because it's part of reducing stress as well. A lot of women's stress comes from hating themselves. And unfortunately, like I say that now so blasé, because 90% of the women that I work with hate themselves. And really, come on, girls. If you heard a friend, would you let a friend of yours talk to you the way that you talk to yourself? No.
No.
So why do you do it? Like, why do they do it where they put themselves down so much? You know what, girls, if you don't like yourself, change. It's that simple. But stop talking to yourself as if you're a piece of shit, because you're not. You know, and this is what it comes down to. And yeah, we're talking about sex here, we're talking about hormones, we're talking about everything else. But look, start paying attention to yourself, start giving yourself some time, start eating right, training right, and then self-care as well. Get your hair done, get your nails done, do all of that stuff that makes you feel good, because actually it may seem trivial, but these things are kind of important.
As a guy, it's very attractive for the opposite sex, even especially as an older woman, that you see that there's not, I suppose, when you see that confidence of who they are, that they kind of love themselves, and you can see that the way that they walk and the way that they hold themselves and the way that they communicate, that they're kind of in control of themselves and their body, and it's very, very attractive, to the opposite sex. That's what I was
trying to say, well-groomed. Like, the whole grooming process as a girl, it can get tiresome sometimes, but it is important.
I don't think it's just about grooming, though. I get you need to do what you need to do as an individual to feel good, but I think, there'll be plenty of women that won't really wear much makeup and will just tie their hair in a knot at the back kind of thing, but you can see that they feel attractive in the way that they look, and that they hold themselves with confidence. And I think it's the same thing with women looking at men. Like, if a woman sees a man who, we'll describe it as like alpha male-esque, like he's holding his body well, he looks kind of strong and confident and look like he could care for other people and provide for, that's what makes physical attraction in a lot of senses. And that's inbuilt. That's predatory. It's inbuilt. We can't deny that kind of stuff. We all, even if we're in relationships, you look at other people and think, oh, that person's attractive because they own who they are. Like they have this confidence and this glow. So I think finding a way to love yourself is so important.
100%, and it's not down to girls do this all the time. Or when I'm a little bit leaner, when I'm a little bit skinnier. Guys do it. I know guys do it too. Oh, I've got to have a 6-pack. No, you don't. Like, honestly, like, chicks don't really dig 6-packs. I mean, we kind of look and go, oh, you're right. You're pretty lean. But honestly, what is sexy is how you carry yourself and how you communicate with others, and it's exactly what you've just been saying.
Yep. Sorry, I got thrown because someone walked into the room. And having confidence isn't arrogance. Like, a lot of people think confidence, you end up being arrogant. Like, if you feel really good and you walk into a room and you're kind of owning the space, people just think that, like, that's an arrogant trait, but it's not. Like, loving yourself is the first step to really getting empowered to do everything else in your life, like, and being able to love other people. Like, it's very hard to love someone else when you're not comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely. I mean, a really good friend of mine here in Australia, Mike Campbell, he's written a book called Hang Fire. I'm going to get it now.
Release Your Alpha?
Yes.
Yeah, surely, isn't it Release Your Alpha?
Unleash Your Alpha.
Unleash
That's right.
Alpha, yeah.
A friend of mine, Mike Campbell, wrote it. Oh, of course, you met Mike when you were in Australia.
I know Mike.
Mike is a top guy, and he's very passionate. I mean, the title of his book, it says here, eat like a man, train like a beast, operate like a gentleman, and become a legend. And I think that really says it all. That is what is sexy in a man, is to be able to take control of a situation and just deal with it. And that alpha male thing, unfortunately, in today's society, has died. I think that, you know, it's become neutralized, and then you have those guys who like to think of themselves as alpha males, but actually they're just ego driven, and that's not sexy either. So, you know, I do think there needs to be a bit more of the old school alpha coming back, where somebody is gonna, you know, step up and take control of themselves, and that goes for women too.
Yeah, take control.
Get your shit together.
Get your shit together. Ow! Right, that is us polishing off the show. That has been nearly an hour. As always, Rachel, thank you very much. My elegant co-host. Right, people listening, do me the massive honour, if you've enjoyed the show, of sharing it on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to converse with others on the social sphere. I would appreciate that loads. If you haven't left a review on iTunes or Stitcher, then please do that. I would be ever so grateful and give you a high five if I ever see you in real. And go grab that cookbook, Truly Madly Healthy, by Gemma Govia, really good. Also Mike Campbell's book, Unleash Your Alpha, very good book as well. That one's available on Amazon. And if some of you are keen to learn, hopefully I will see you on the BTN conference on the 8th and the 9th of November, if not maybe on the Body Type Nutrition Academy. But next week I will be back on the show with Mark Coles. I had Mark Coles on the show last week, and we kind of enjoyed the train of thought so much, and we went very businessy in psychology, that we're going to go back into nutrition and training next week. So Mark will be on the show again, and then after that it will be me and Rachel, and then it will be our 100th episode. 100.
Dun, dun, dun. Who's going to be on 100th episode?
Well, I don't know. Everyone says, "Oh, you're going to do something really big," but I do something big every week. So, like, how do you top what I'm already doing? I'm already like, this is awesome. Like, where'd you go? Right, Rachel, that's us wrapping up. Think of a
special outfit. If we do the 100th episode, we have to think of a special outfit to wear.
Oh, I'm wearing a special outfit. You just can't see it.
You have your Jack Wills t-shirt on. I can see. I have my BAA Be an Athlete hoodie on today.
Yeah, but you can't see me from the waist down.
Do you have your Jack Wills boxes on?
No comment. Anyway, right. Wrapping up. Ciao, Rachel.
Ciao, Benny. Chat to you soon, babe.
See you later, everyone. Till next time.
Bye.
Hi everyone, Ben Cooper Radio, episode number 96. Now we're back in the UK. We've had a lot of these US folks with funny accents on recently, so it's back to the roots. And I have what I would describe as a northerner. He'll probably tell me he's from the Midlands. Mr. Mark Coles, hello.